there in TV land. My name is Ollie the Ostrich, and I'm here with another math homework helper short and my friend, Mr. Teng. Hi, Mr. Teng. How are you?
Hey, Al. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you ready to do some 5th grade math?
With you? Of course.
Sweet. Let's do this.
All right, so our 5th grade mathematicians have been working with multiplication, division, and taking a look at how that applies to decimals. So what we're going to take a look at today is just a little review on looking at numbers to the tenths, hundredths, thousandths place.
Thousandths.
All right.
That's a lot.
So in our table here, we're going to do some rounding. When we do rounding, it shows us a better understanding of place value. So here we're going to round to the nearest tens place, the nearest ones place, the nearest tenths place, and the nearest hundredths place.
Okay.
So let's see if we have time for all 3 of our giant numbers here.
I believe in you, Mr. Teng.
Hey, Ollie, how good are you at reading numbers?
It depends.
You want to give it a try?
Sure. Maybe.
All right,
You go first.
Let's try this one. So I see 506.
506.
And did you know the only time you say "and" when reading a number is when you see a decimal point?
I did not know that, Mr. Teng.
Well, now you do. So I see 506 and 308,000.
308 thousandths.
Yeah, so these numbers
That's a
go
tongue
into
twister.
Yeah, it does.
If I had a tongue, it'd be even harder.
It's a long number.
Ha!
So we have 506 and 308 thousandths. So I have a 5 in a hundredths place, a 0 in a tens place, a 6 in a ones place, 3 in a tenths place, 0 in the hundredths place, and an 8 in the thousandths place.
Thousandths.
So if we're asked to round to the nearest 10, 1, tenth, or hundredth, we need to look at, we're going to write 4 different numbers here.
Okay.
So the first one says round to the nearest 10. So if I have 506 and 308 thousandths,
Thousandths.
I'm going to round to the nearest 10 place, which is right here.
Right there.
So being able to identify where your place value is going to be key first, and then knowing how to round. So if I'm rounding to my nearest 10 with the number 506 and 308 thousandths, my nearest 10 is either going to be 500 or 510.
I think it's going to be 510.
How do you know that?
Well, because the other numbers are 6. And I think you have to round up. Is that right, Mr. Teng?
Yeah, but and you know why? Because we're closer to 510, right? So if we had a number line, if we said our nearest 10 was going to be 500 or 510, we have to think about where 506 and 308 thousandths would go on that number line.
Right.
So right in the middle of 500 and 510 would be 505.
Yep.
So then anything before that would be closer to 500, and anything after that would be closer to 510.
Perfect.
So what we know about 506 is it's actually one more than 505.
So it's closer to 510.
So it's going to round to
510.
510.
There you go.
So that giant number that we have with all those decimals, we're just going to write 510 because
Easy.
that is the nearest 10.
We got this.
We got this. So we're going to do the same exact thing now, except rounding to the nearest 1.
Whoa. See you later, numbers. Bye-bye.
All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. To the nearest 1 would be where the 6 is.
Where the 6 is.
So you could always start with what you have. So that means the nearest 1 is either going to be 506. And what's 1 more than that?
507.
507. So that means in between 506 and 507 is 506 and 5 tenths. That's in the middle.
That looks right.
So where would our number be closer to, 506 or 507?
Well, it's going to be closer to 506, I think.
How do you know that?
Because I'm an ostrich. We know a lot, Mr. Teng.
You're right. But if we were actually going to take a look at the numbers, we would be able to see and compare our 500, our 0 tens, our 6 ones, and then we look at our tenths place. So our tenths place is going to tell us, well, I have 3 tenths. Is that greater than or less than 5 tenths?
That's less than.
That's less than that. So it's going to be to the left of it, or it's going to be less than our middle number,
Right.
which means we're going to be closer to
506.
506. We're going to round down to 506.
Very good.
Yeah, at this rate, I think we're only have time for this one.
That's okay. I believe in us.
Okay, so we're going to go
what's next?
even deeper now, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
So
Born ready, Mr. Teng.
we did our 10. We did our 1. Now
Okay.
we have to round to the nearest 10th,
10th.
which is right here.
Oh, there it is.
So that means we're either going to be 506 and 3/10, or what's the next 10th?
506 and 4/10.
506 and 4/10. So that means in the middle, in between 506 and 3/10 and 506 and 4/10, the clue is they're going to be taking a look at the next place value, right?
Right.
And that's going to be 506 and 35 hundredths.
Oh.
And something that you can do also to help you, especially when we start getting into the decimals, is if I did this here, I didn't change the value. I just changed the way it looks so I can make more sense of it.
That makes sense.
So 506 and 30 hundredths, or 506 and 40 hundredths, and in the middle it's going to be 35.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. What do you think?
I'm thinking we're going to kind of round down. It doesn't look like it's high enough to go up to the next number.
No, it's not.
That's my guess.
Especially because we're looking at 35 hundredths being the middle point. And if it was more than that, if 506 and 308 thousandths was greater than this, we would definitely round up, but it's not. It's actually going to be less because 0 tenths is less than 5/10. So we're going to be along the left-hand side here, which would round us down to
506.
506 and 3/10.
There you go.
All right,
That makes sense.
let's do one more, buddy.
We got it. We got it.
So hopefully, boys and girls at home, you're able to see some of the patterns here that we're taking a look at, and just taking your time looking at and comparing numbers. We spend a lot of time figuring out greater than or less than, so we can compare them and say, is one greater than or less than the other?
Yes, we do. Okay, so what do we have to round to now?
So now we have to round to the nearest hundredth.
Hundredth. Oh.
So that means we're either going to be 506 and 30 hundredths, or 506 and 31 hundredths.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So we have to look at the number to the right, which is an 8.
Right, and that's
Right.
so because that's in the thousandths place, we can help ourselves out by going like this and adding that 0, so we can more easily see what would be in the middle.
Right.
Because that middle number really helps us figure out what is going to be, because we can compare that to the number we have to see whether it's greater than or less than. Because now we can figure out what's going to be in the middle of 506 and 30 hundredths and 506 and 31 hundredths, which would be 500.
Careful, Mr. Teng.
And 305
There we go.
hundredths. So as you can see, that would be right in the middle. So now we can go ahead and compare 506 and 305 thousandths to 506 and 308 thousandths.
These are tongue twisters. Hard
These
to
are
say.
big. These are big numbers. Our 5th grade friends, they're not messing around. They're
amazing.
doing these big numbers here.
They're amazing.
So let's go help them out and let's finish strong.
Go for it, Mr. Teng. You're on a roll.
So you tell me, Ollie, what do you think? Is our number greater than or less than 506 and 305 thousandths?
Well, 8 is more than 5, so I think we round up, Mr. Teng.
I think you're absolutely right. We see this number here. We're comparing our numbers, and when you compare numbers that are so similar, you take it down all the way to the place value that's not the same anymore, which in this case is going to be in our thousandths place.
Perfect.
And that's going to tell us that we're going to round up to 506 and 31 hundredths.
Perfect. Write it down. We got it. That's it.
So boys and girls, there's a lot of room for error here, and there's a lot of
You think so?
there's a lot of numbers here, and it can get pretty complicated. So make sure you're taking your time, writing your notes down, and double check your work, because at any point you can mess up, and we don't want that.
No, but mistakes happen, don't they, Mr. Teng?
They do, but what we do want is to hang out here again
Oh, yeah.
all together
When?
with
Tell
all
them.
of our friends
When?
on January 11th.
January 11th. What happens then, Mr. Teng?
So we're going to bring in the new year with our next live show right here at the Hideout with Max, with Ollie, with amazing teacher friends. We have YouTube, we have Vimeo, and we have all sorts of fun stuff. Yahoo and
Prizes.
AOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so call in. The
Yes.
phone number is going to be live. We're going to have a great time here.
January 11th.
Math.
Yep. Girls and boys, we are so glad you were here today. We'll see you on what? January 11th?
January 11th. Call in.
January 11th. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.